Hi everyone, welcome back to Klock Space. I'm Stephen Klock, and I hope you enjoyed this little process video of the portrait I did of my dad. It's a vector illustration done in Adobe Illustrator, and so I know it looks like it's probably just cheating to trace over a photo, but it actually takes quite a bit of figuring out how to draw the shapes and the colors and the gradients, and it took quite a bit of time to get through and trace all those little aspects inside the photo. But I didn't really record the process of actually creating any of that, so I was just going through and turning on all the little pieces of the layers to kind of show how I did it, but it's not exactly 100% how I did it in reality and in real time. But I've been wanting to do this picture of my dad for a while. This whole theme that I've been working on was part of my pilot's theme, and I've wanted to do something to kind of go back and talk about some of my dad's stuff, and what my dad did in his career. He started out as a aeronautical engineer, and apparently he had wanted to always be a pilot and wanted to go into the Air Force Academy and become a pilot and join the Air Force, but because of the weight requirements, he was underweight by, I don't know how much he was underweight, but he was underweight and they wouldn't let him in. And so he became an aeronautical engineer instead. And he went to Rensselaer and became an aeronautical engineer, and went and worked for General Dynamics in Texas. And this was all during the time of the Vietnam War. And so he joined the Air National Guard, which I guess he had found out that he could join pilot training to fly fighter jets. And so he went to San Antonio and joined the Air National Guard, joined the Air Force Reserves. And here's a plaque of his graduation from Williams Air Force Base, his pilot's training. He flew T-38s and T-37s while he was there. And in this plaque here, this shows his graduation from the United States Navy Test Pilot School, where he learned to fly several different kinds of aircraft and become a test pilot. I have a whole library of photos from his pilot days and from his career, but he died in 1979 in a plane crash while he was flying an A-7D. And I never really knew what that plane looked like. I've done a lot of research online, and I've found the serial number of the plane in a lot of paperwork that I have. I've got a ton of paperwork and just a ton of stuff that I keep in a box. I used to hang all of this. I have a lot more plaques than this, and I'd hang them all over my wall, and now I've just kind of minimized what I hang here, and I have a lot of stuff filed away. And I went through a lot of this paperwork, and that's where I found the information on the plane's serial number, and from that I was able to look up the serial number. And I've tried this so many times through past searches online, but I could never find anything. And then when I just went to start doing this whole pilot art series, I was doing some reference search for photo reference, and lo and behold, I found this photo that was taken in Germany of my dad's plane. And that's one thing, that when he joined this 120th Squadron in Colorado and was flying the A-7, he actually, one of their assignments was to fly to Germany, which is where this photo was taken. And so I had never actually seen this photo before. So it was really cool for me to actually get to see what the actual plane looked like. It's kind of a relief in a way of seeing what the plane looked like. I never really knew any of that part. I only knew some of his previous history and the photos that he had taken and stuff like that. But I guess I could talk about how he crashed, and a lot of people always ask me that, and I never really knew before, but having researched this stuff and going through all the paperwork again, I found some paperwork along with his death certificate. His death certificate basically just said he died in Cheyenne Wells, which is almost to the Kansas-Colorado border, about halfway up, right in the middle of Colorado, but closer to Kansas. And he was on maneuvers there, and in the death certificate it just said multiple injuries. I never really knew what happened or how the plane crashed. I still don't really know how the plane crashed. And but I found this letter from the commander at the time, and the letter actually describes to my grandparents that he says he was surprised that they didn't know the results of the findings, and they still don't really know what happened to the plane, but apparently the plane he had lost control of the plane, and because he didn't radio in, he didn't say Mayday or any contact with his wingman had just turned around and saw a plume of smoke. So to me, in my eyes, what probably happened was he lost control and didn't have much reaction time at all, and probably not very much time to even eject. And they said in the report, he said that because of his experience as a test pilot and as a combat pilot and all the training that he had received, he probably tried to recover. And the recovery time, which wasn't much time, was just too long, and he went down with the plane. And I had actually been told that the plane maybe he had lost control as it was going around a corner or something like that. Maybe he was banking too hard and lost control, and the plane inverted, and they say that he ejected into the ground. I'm not really sure if that's true or not, but what I do know is that he didn't have enough time to radio in and stuck with the plane too long trying to recover, but didn't really have enough. I kind of think that he either didn't have enough time to eject, or there just really wasn't a winning situation. Like, he was inverted, and whether he couldn't recover, and whether he ejected or not, he was going to die. So that's kind of how I see what happened. And as you can see here, here's the flag that was folded over his coffin. And I put this together to just kind of memorialize some of this stuff. I've got the portrait photo here that I used for the illustration that I did. And I've got this patch here that has the Tactical Air Command and his wings. The gold one there with the turquoise is the Frontier Airlines. He flew for Frontier Airlines for a while. And I've got the USNTPS. This was actually part of an ashtray, but the ashtray broke, and I still have the medallion part. And then I've got his patches over here that would have gone on his flight suit. And this one was from his dress blues hat. And I got the USNTPS patch. And this is a medallion from when he worked on the YF-16 at General Dynamics. So I got that in there too. You can see here too, I've got just a big box full of stuff. I won't go through all of it with you, but this is some of the paperwork. My aunt has sent me a lot of this stuff too. I've got the original F-16 model, which is right here. I actually need to repair this because parts of it are broken. You can see his some of his old mugs back there, and got just folders worth of photos and boxes of photos. Here's an old graduation photo from 1971. Where is he? There he is, right here. See, he's wearing a suit because he's a civilian as opposed to in the actual military. But yeah, I've got just tons of photos and memorabilia here. Just a lot of stuff. Got lots of files. If I take some of these out here, this is the letter that the Air Force sent my dad about how he was underweight. 1963. And I've got all of this stuff here. This is the honorable discharge. You can see the date of the crash, February 28th, 1972, Buckley Air National Guard Base, 120th Tactical Fighter Squadron. This is the letter that I was talking about, and you can pause it and read it if you want. Actually, this is not the letter I was talking about. This is the graduation letter of when he graduated from Williams Air Force Base, and this is just about his undergraduate pilot training class, and inviting my grandparents to go and watch that. Here's a newspaper article about the crash. This is a letter from General Dynamics from the director there, flight test director, and he's just offering condolences. This is the letter that I was actually referring to, where it talks about what happened. And you can pause this here and read it if you want. It might be a little difficult to read. But here it just says, the facts are primarily described as circumstantial evidence since the pilot with whom Dennis was flying did not see the accident occur. And in addition, Dennis made no radio calls. The mission they were on is what we refer to as basic flight maneuvers, which is essentially involves training for one aircraft to attack another. Just prior to the accident, the flight leader called for the engagement they were then in to be terminated, and also called for a rejoin of the formation so that the two aircraft could return to the base. Lost my place. The flight leader received no answer, so he turned his aircraft back towards where he had last seen Dennis's aircraft and observed a column of smoke coming up from the ground. He immediately set the rescue and response effort into motion And you will see that the rest of this narrative is speculation, but because of our knowledge of the flight characteristics of the A-7 aircraft, it is possible to come up with the most probable reason for the accident. The investigative board determined conclusively that there was nothing wrong with the engine, flight controls, or any essential part of the accident aircraft. The assumption then is that Dennis, for some reason, lost control, attempted to recover, and had insufficient altitude to do so in time. Having known Dennis and his tremendous background in the field of aviation, including having been a test pilot, I feel he stayed with the aircraft after loss of control because he thought he could recover. Even though you may feel this is a rather sketchy account, I assure you that it covers the events as he knows them. So that's basically the letter of what happened. You know, things can happen pretty quick when you're flying, and I think just something happened and couldn't recover in time. I think this is the church. Some more paperwork. This is the one from the Air Force where he had to go test for becoming an examination for entry into the Air Force, which he was denied because of his weight. These are letters that I guess he had written to General Dynamics. He knew he wanted to work for General Dynamics even when he was in high school. So these are letters to General Dynamics, I think after he graduated from college. I've got some photos here. Here's a picture of him. A couple of pictures. His Jag. And there's me and my sister with him. I believe that's at Disneyland. Probably 1978. Yep, in front of the Matterhorn. This is a paper he wrote when he was in elementary school, I guess. Or maybe middle school. Picture of our family in the 1970s. Here's a picture of the F-16 that he was test flying for General Dynamics. Some wedding photos. These were the wives of officers and pilots that my mom would get together with. There's some more pictures. Some of these have been damaged over time, you know, but got a few pictures of him. I've got more pictures than this, but you know, just in this one little folder, this is what I have. This is one of his original pictures. This is an old one. A3J Vigilante. I'm not sure how old this picture is though. It's pretty old though. And I've got, you know, just more memorabilia. This is his Rensselaer. This used to be in a frame, but it broke and everything, so I just kept it with his paperwork. Honorable discharge from the Air Force. This is like 1971 when he was discharged so that he could go into pilot training, I guess. And this was an actual microfilm negative. And as you can see, it's the same one here. I have his badge here from when he was at the Carswell Air Force Base. You can see this is the same newspaper clipping here talking about the crash. And I've got this newspaper clipping here too that talks about how he was a F-105 reserve pilot, and he became a test pilot after graduating from USNTPS and flew the F-16 for General Dynamics. And my cousin, Jennifer, she lives up in Michigan. And this was from the USNTPS as well. This held his certificate, as you can see there. And I've got a bunch of paperwork here. This was from Top Gun, talking about how he flew the... I actually found some photos of him, and it's the only photo that I have of his F4 that he flew. And then this actually talks about how he actually even was in the T-38, which was usually only the role of an instructor, but he got to fly in the T-38 as well. So yeah, I just have a lot of paperwork here. Here's when his fighter wing, he was doing some fighter training in the F-105 in the 127th. The 184th Tactical Fighter Training Group in Kansas. These are just some invoices and whatnot. But, you know, Masters of Science in Engineering degree. Just a lot of printouts and stuff. You know, it's still even hard to talk about, but I don't really know what happened, and it's taken a while to even go back and do this kind of project, because I've always wanted to do something in honor of my dad, you know, but I've never really gone and done it. It's taken this long. I'm in my 40s now, and he died when I was 6, so it's taken that long. You know, I've talked about it with friends before, and I've talked about it with family before, but I've never actually gone and worked on this stuff. So I'm sharing it now, and I hope that you guys enjoy this, and at least to maybe find it interesting at all. But I'll post some more of these projects that I did online, and I'll talk to you guys next time.